RETCAD is a software suite for design and analysis of FRET networks. It has several tools that are presented in these different tabs over here. Over here you can see the Die Explorer tab, which is next to the Time Resolve tab, which visualizes the simulation results. Then you have the Charts tab, the Spectra tab, the Statistics tab, the File View tab, which allows you to edit your simulation file, and finally the Work tab, which reports any possible errors or warning messages. Now let's take a look at the Die Explorer tab. As you can see, it shows you a list of dyes with their spectral properties such as excitation peak, emission peak, Stokes shift, lifetime, quantum yield, etc., etc. And when you select the dye, it shows you the excitation spectrum and the emission spectrum of that dye. Also its molecular structure if it's available. The excitation spectrum of a dye is normalized to its maximum extinction coefficient. That's why you see all these excitation spectra are shown from 0 to 1. One of the useful features of the Die Explorer is that it allows you to apply filters to the list of dyes that is shown to you. The reason that it's useful is because sometimes when you're looking for a particular dye, it might be easier for you if fewer items are shown to you. For example, right now there are 308 dyes in this list, and if I choose the Atto filter, it only shows me the Atto dyes, which are 36, or the Alexa Floor filter, it only shows me the Alexa Floor dyes, which are 34. You can also create your own filter. To do that, click on this checkbox over here, which shows you an auxiliary list. Then select the dyes that you're interested in. Let's say, for example, Alexa Floor 350, 514, and 546. Select these three ones, and then I go to Atto dyes and select 465, 520, and 532, and 550, and then I hit the delete button. And now this is the list that I'm interested in, and I want to save it. So I click on this button over here, which swaps these two lists and bring the dyes that I have selected to the main window. Now I can click on this button over here, which asks me to give it a name, and let's say I want to name it Atto Alex, and save it. Now when I refresh the list of filters, I can see the newly added filter called Atto Alex. So if I go ahead and show the entire list of dyes, you can see that there's 308 dyes again, and when I apply this filter, the Atto Alex, it only shows me the 7 dyes that are in this filter. Another useful feature that the Die Explorer has is that it can sort the list based on any of the spectral properties. For example, let's say you want to select an Atto dye which has the highest lifetime or the lowest emission peak or something like that. So all you need to do is to select the Atto filter, and now you have all the Atto dyes here. And now I can click on, for example, quantum yield, and it sorts the list based on the quantum yield of these dyes. Or I can click on the excitation peak, and the list will be sorted based on the excitation peak. The other thing I can do is I can sort the list based on the absorption at a given wavelength. For example, if I click on this checkbox over here, I can use the mouse wheel to change the wavelength here. And as I change the wavelength, it updates for me the absorptivity of these dyes at the given wavelength. For example, if I set it to 497, I can hold down the shift key to increase the wavelength in 1 nanometer steps. And now I can sort the list based on the absorptivity at 497 nanometer. And as you can see, this dye over here has the highest absorptivity. I can do the same thing with emission by clicking on this checkbox over here and changing the value of the emission wavelength and sorting the list based on the emission at this given wavelength.